April 30th, 1980, 11:30 a.m. South Kensington, London. Prince's Gate is one of the most affluent, peaceful neighbourhoods in the British capital. A crisp spring morning, leafy trees, grand Victorian architecture, and the quiet dignity of foreign embassies. Inside number 16, the Iranian Embassy, staff are going about their daily routines. Tourists are strolling outside. Police Constable Trevor Locke, armed only with a concealed revolver, stands guard at the front door. It is the calm before an absolute storm. Suddenly, the silence is shattered by the deafening crack of gunfire and the splintering of heavy wood. 6 heavily armed men sprint across the street, charging the entrance. They are members of the Democratic Revolutionary Front for the Liberation of Arabistan, a militant group opposed to the Iranian regime. Within seconds, the peaceful embassy is transformed into a fortress of terror. 26 hostages are rounded up at gunpoint. Diplomatic staff, visitors, and BBC journalists are forced onto the floor, staring into the barrels of submachine guns. The gunmen issue their demands: the release of Arab prisoners in Iran and safe passage out of the United Kingdom. If their demands are not met, they will start executing hostages, one by one. The response from Downing Street is swift and uncompromising. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher makes it crystal clear: the British government will not yield to terrorism on British soil. The stakes are catastrophic. A geopolitical powder keg has been lit in the heart of London, and the entire world is watching as television cameras from across the globe establish a permanent, live broadcast right outside the police cordons. But as negotiators try to buy time, talking to the terrorists through the windows, a different kind of operation is silently unfolding in the shadows. A few miles away, at Regent's Park Barracks, a highly classified unit receives the call. This is B Squadron of the 22nd Special Air Service Regiment, the SAS. In 1980, the public barely knows they exist. They are ghosts, elite operators trained for the unthinkable. The countdown begins. The tension rises with every passing second. The SAS operatives do not wait for orders. They prepare for war. In a hidden facility, they construct a meticulous full-scale replica of the embassy's interior, memorizing every doorway, every hallway, every tight corner. Intelligence agencies scramble to gather data. Microphones are lowered down the chimneys, and high-tech fiber optic devices are carefully drilled through the walls of adjacent buildings. Every whisper of the terrorists, every footstep, and every sob of a hostage is picked up, analyzed, and mapped. The men in black overalls wait in the dark, checking their weapons, adjusting their respirators. The pressure is suffocating. They know that if they are called in, they will have to breach a multi-story building in broad daylight, under the gaze of millions of live television viewers, with absolutely zero room for error. The trap is set, the fuse is burning, and the clock is ticking down to an inevitable explosion. For 5 agonizing days, the standoff grinds on. It is a psychological war of attrition, fought with megaphones and empty promises. But on day 6, May 5th, the breaking point arrives. The terrorists, fueled by paranoia and exhaustion, realize their demands will never be met. Inside the embassy, the atmosphere turns incredibly toxic. At 1:45 p.m., a sudden, sharp crack echoes from deep inside the building. A single gunshot, then an eerie, terrifying silence. Hours later, the heavy front door is pushed open. The body of the embassy's chief press officer, Abbas Lavasani, is dumped unceremoniously onto the front steps. He has been executed. The line has been crossed. The rules of engagement have instantly changed. Negotiation is dead. At 7:07 p.m., the commander of the Metropolitan Police, makes the hardest call of his career. He signs the document handing over control of the incident to the Ministry of Defense. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher issues the final, uncompromising order. Send in the SAS. The atmosphere in the holding area is electric. The commanding officer looks at his men. The waiting is over. Men of B Squadron slip on their iconic black Nomex coveralls. They pull the restrictive, suffocating S6 respirators over their faces, transforming from ordinary men into faceless, terrifying executioners. They chamber rounds into their Heckler & Koch MP5 submachine guns. There is absolutely no turning back. At 7:23 p.m. the assault begins. It is broad daylight, and millions of people are glued to their television screens, watching the live BBC broadcast. Suddenly, black-clad figures appear on the roof of the embassy. Operation Nimrod is a go. Two teams strike simultaneously. The red team attacks from the roof, abseiling down the rear of the building, while the blue team breaches from the ground floor. But immediately chaos strikes. As one of the SAS operatives rappels down the side of the building, his rope becomes entangled. He is left suspended helplessly above a balcony. A stun grenade, meant to blind the terrorists, shatters a window and ignites the curtains. Flames erupt, threatening to burn the suspended soldier alive. There is no time to stop. The assault must continue. Sledgehammers smash through the reinforced glass. Flashbang grenades are hurled into the rooms, exploding with blinding flashes and deafening concussive roars. The SAS flood into the building. The interior is instantly choked with thick, acrid smoke and the unmistakable stench of burning cordite. It is absolute pandemonium. In the pitch-black, smoke-filled rooms, the operators rely on pure muscle memory and ruthless precision. Every shadow is a potential threat. They clear the rooms floor by floor, stair by stair, engaging in vicious, point-blank firefights. The terrorists are cornered, desperate and firing wildly. Hostages are screaming in the darkness. In a fraction of a second, the men in the respirators must make life-or-death decisions, distinguish between an innocent captive and a ruthless killer in a room entirely consumed by smoke and chaos. This is not a drill. This is raw, unfiltered, close-quarters combat at the highest possible level. Inside the burning embassy, the frantic climax of Operation Nimrod reaches its final, breathless phase. The gunfire begins to subside, replaced by the desperate shouts of the operators. Evacuate! Evacuate! The building is now fully ablaze, the air completely unbreathable. To get the terrified hostages out alive, the SAS operators form a human chain down the grand, smoke-filled staircase. They physically throw the captives from man to man, passing them rapidly toward the shattered front entrance and out into the cool evening air. But even in these final seconds, the danger is not over. As the panicked hostages are funneled down the burning stairs, a terrifying discovery is made. One of the gunmen has desperately concealed himself among the fleeing captives. In his hand, he is clutching a live Russian fragmentation grenade. He is waiting for the perfect moment to pull the pin and take everyone with him. In a split second, amid the crushing stampede and thick smoke, an SAS operator spots the deadly threat. There is no hesitation. A precise, controlled burst of submachine gun fire echoes through the stairwell. The terrorist is eliminated instantly, his body tumbling down the steps, the grenade safely undetonated. Outside on the lawn, another gunman who tried to blend in with the rescued hostages is violently tackled, identified, and dragged away in zip ties. Then suddenly, it is over. The 17-minute war comes to a dead halt. The deafening roar of automatic weapons is replaced by the crackle of burning wood and the distant wail of approaching sirens. The operation is a staggering, unprecedented success. 5 terrorists are dead. 1 is in custody. Against all odds, in a situation that military analysts deemed nearly impossible to resolve without catastrophic civilian casualties, the SAS have pulled off a miracle. 19 hostages are brought out alive. As London firefighters rush forward to extinguish the raging inferno at Prince's Gate, the men of B Squadron do not linger for the flashing cameras. There are no victory speeches. There are no interviews. They strip off their suffocating respirators, their faces slick with sweat and blackened by toxic soot. In silence, they pack their weapons, load back into their unmarked transit vans, and quietly slip away into the London night, melting back into the shadows from whence they came. The world, however, will never be the same. In exactly 17 minutes, a powerful message has been broadcast live to every corner of the globe. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher's iron-willed doctrine that terrorism will be met with overwhelming, lethal force is cemented on the world stage. But more importantly, the veil of absolute secrecy has been lifted from the 22nd Special Air Service Regiment. The ghosts of the British military have been forced into the light. The black-clad figures swinging through the smoke and fire of the Iranian Embassy are forever etched into modern history. Who dares wins is no longer just a regimental motto hidden in the dark. It is a global warning.